Hello, everybody. Happy Monday afternoon. Happy Victory Monday afternoon. Hope yours is going well. And we just hit 1,680 subscribers to the YouTube channel. Please like the video and subscribe down below if you haven't yet for daily Seahawks content. Also, want to give a shout out to channel members Jason, Hillel, Anton, Hawk Asylum, Ryguy, Rip, Carson, Caesar, Nick, Dylan, Aaron, Joshua, Zankifine, Washi, Let Russ Cook, and new channel members as of yesterday or earlier today, Scott Todd, Rico Alexander, and Santi Sayu. So I tip my cap to you guys, my first 18 channel members. Thank you for all the support. Let's keep on pushing the numbers. And today we will be doing our final pre-trade deadline video. So it is currently just before 1 o'clock my time on the West Coast. And as you can see, the trade deadline is Tuesday, which is tomorrow, at 4 p.m. on the East Coast, which is 1 p.m. my time. So as of this recording, we are now 24 hours and 10 minutes away from the trade deadline. So we have 24 hours left to make one final move. And before that deadline comes up, I wanted to give my top 5 favorite potential Seahawks trade targets ranked by feasibility and price. Because obviously I would love to trade for TJ Watt, I would love to trade for Aaron Donald, but we all know that's not going to happen. I would love to trade for somebody like JJ Watt maybe, but we know Houston's already taken him off the trade block, so we can't do that. I'd love to trade for Julio Jones, but I think that would cost too much. So we're going to keep it real. We're going to keep it 100 here. And by realistic possibility of actually being able to trade for the player as well as the price of trading for that player, here's my top 5. And after this video, hopefully people can stop asking, who do you want to trade for? All right. Number 5, we're going to count down from my least favorite of this top 5 to my favorite. Number 5 is going to be Quinnen Williams of the Jets. This is the one guy I really want who would be kind of expensive. We're talking second round pick and maybe a little more. I don't want to overpay for him for obvious reasons, but Quinnen Williams would be a very, very nice pickup, and I would not miss my second round pick at all if we got Quinnen in this trade. He played a very good game yesterday against the Chiefs. He was the only Jet player who showed up. He's only 22 years old, about to turn 23. He's the 3rd overall pick less than a year and a half ago from Alabama. You can take a look at some of his stats, and you can see last year, okay, not big numbers, 2.5 sacks, 28 tackles. So far this year, in 8 games, his production has significantly increased from last year's full season. 3 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 31 tackles. Let's take a look at some of the advanced numbers here. He's got 7 pressures in 8 games from the nose tackle position in the Jets defense. This is potentially a very disruptive and very special player that the Jets have. And it sounded like for at least a little bit they were considering the possibility of trading him. And by the way, this 7 pressure number does not even count what he did against the Chiefs. Once the Chiefs data comes in, this will probably be at least a couple ticks higher. So he's having a pretty productive 2020. If you can get Quinnen Williams for a second round pick, maybe even second rounder plus a tiny bit more, do it. All right, that's number 5. Not very realistic. I don't think the Jets are going to do it, but I wanted to talk about it. Okay, number 4, we have Jacob Martin. This one's a little more realistic. 24-year-old, about to turn 25, former Seahawk, former 6th round pick of the Seahawks, traded to Houston in the Clowney trade. Houston, Houston's Houston. They're 1-6. They're done for the year. They need to blow it up and get some draft capital. So, not the greatest player in the world. He had 3 sacks as a rookie with us, and then he had 3.5 last year. He's got 2 so far this year, so he's coming along nicely. Doesn't play a ton, but has had some decent production when he's been in the game. Let's take a look at his advanced numbers here. He's got a couple pressures so far this season. He had 8 last year for Houston. He had 13 last year as a Seahawk. It seemed like we brought out some pretty good stuff in him, when he was here. And if you take a look at the snap count, he's not playing that much for Houston's defense. He's only played 177 snaps, or 36%. So it's a little more than he played in previous years. But they're not really making him a feature part of this defense, so he might be somebody they're willing to just give up for a sixth round or even a seventh round pick just so they don't have to worry about his rookie deal ending in next year. So you could get Jacob Martin super cheap, and I think this would be a great idea. Okay, number three. My number three would be Ryan Kerrigan of the football team. This is an older veteran. He's 32. He turned 32 pretty recently. He is the all-time leader in franchise history in sacks. So let's take a look at what we got with Mr. Kerrigan. He's got 4 sacks this year, so still producing. He's having a nice little bounce back year of sorts from what he did last year when he only had 5.5 in 12 games. So he's just not playing very much right now, and he has supposedly asked for a trade, and it makes a lot of sense why. If you go down to his snap counts, he's only playing 36% of the snaps, and this is a dude who's used to playing, 70 to 80% of the snaps. So this is not where Kerrigan wants to be. It makes a lot of sense why he wants out. The only concern I have is that for most of his career, he has been an outside linebacker, but I think his body can take playing defensive end for 10 games. I feel like Kerrigan can do it. He's been doing it so far this year, and he's been reasonably productive. If you take a look at his advanced numbers, he's got 6 pressures in very limited snaps for Washington. So if he came here on a defense where he would be allowed to rotate in a little bit more, I think he could up that production, and he's been very, very efficient with his pressures. He's got 4 sacks on only 6 pressures. So I think Kerrigan would be a great pickup because he's already asked for a trade. Washington has said no, but I don't know why they wouldn't. They're not playing him, and they're not going to have him next year. So to me, something can still happen here. Kerrigan, he might not have a ton left in the tank, but we only need him for another 10 to 13 games this year. So decent pickup there. Number 2, I'm going to go to Takaris McKinley of the Atlanta Falcons. He just turned 25 today. Today's his birthday. Send him to a real team for his birthday, Atlanta. Do it. He's in the last year of his rookie contract, I think. Yeah, let's take a look here. This is his 4th year. So yeah, the Falcons did not pick up his option for 2021. So this is going to be his last season on the Falcons in all likelihood. As you can see, he's had some productive years in the past. 2008, he only played 15 games and got 7 sacks. Last year, he fell off a little bit, 3.5 sacks. And this year so far, he's only played in 4 games. He's been battling some injuries. If we believe that he can come back from the injury and produce and play well this year, this would be a great pickup for me. He's going to be super cheap because the Falcons know they're not going to keep him after this season. Best case scenario, he's got 8 games left with the Falcons, it looks like. So I have to believe they would take even a tiny bit of trade capital just to be rid of him because he's not going to get a big contract. There's no compensation pick you can get. You just got to move on from him. And so far this year, he has 8 pressures in 4 games, which is pretty good on a Falcons team that is, by the way, pretty abysmal on defense. He had 20 pressures last year, which is pretty good. He had 25 in his career year in 2018. So this is a guy who has a pretty strong history of being able to pressure the opposing QB. I think Takk McKinley makes a lot of sense. And now we're going to wrap it up with my number 1, and this one may already have been shot down, but with last night's events, you never know. Aldon Smith of the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys have fallen to 2-6. They are maybe the worst team in the league other than the Jets, maybe worse than the Jets the way they're playing right now. Aldon Smith is 31 years old. He signed a very cheap 1-year deal with the Cowboys. I think it's like $3-4 million, and he has been very productive so far this year. He has 5 sacks and 35 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 9 hits on the QB in 8 games. And I know Dallas is saying they wanted to keep him. I know they already turned us down when we said we want to trade for Aldon Smith, but they did lose last night. You never know. There's no point for Dallas to keep him when you think about it because they're not going to do anything this year. They're 2-6. They're terrible. They're barely competitive in these games right now. If they want to have him next year because they feel like they're going to be good next year, they can trade him to us and then sign him in the offseason. And even though Aldon's playing well this year, it's very unlikely he's going to get some monster contract that gets the Cowboys some really good compensation pick. So I don't know why the Cowboys would keep him this year, but we're going to have to see what they do in 24 hours. But If you take a look at the advanced metrics, he's got 12 pressures in 8 games. He's been very efficient on those 12 pressures. He has 5 sacks and 4 QB hits. This does not include whatever he did last night against the Eagles, by the way. All these advanced metrics do not. They take a couple days to catch up. So I think that Aldon Smith could turn this defense into one of the better defenses in the league, combined with Dunlap, Adams, etc., etc. I just don't know why the Cowboys would want to keep him. I feel like they were playing hardball. Maybe they're trying to get a slightly better draft pick. Maybe they're trying to get a 5th rounder or something. But they already gave away Everson Griffin for basically nothing. So I don't know what the difference is here. But that's my top 5. So those of you who are wondering who I want the Seahawks to trade for, now you know. Those 5 guys: Quinnen Williams, Jacob Martin, Ryan Kerrigan, Takaris McKinley, Aldon Smith. There are other guys I'd love to trade for, but I don't think we can do it. There are other guys that I like too, but not as much as these guys. That's my top 5. If you want more about my thoughts on who the Seahawks should trade for, go back and look at some videos I've made over the last 2 months. I've gone over potential trade targets for over an hour in those videos. All right, peace out, go Hawks. Keep an eye out tonight. There will be a stream. I'm probably going to stream the Monday night game, probably going to stream video games after. See you then. Peace out, go Hawks.